I don't think at this stage we really have a plan of getting to net zero without some role for carbon capture and storage.
To meet targets from the Paris Agreement, we need systems which remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Systems which remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere are called negative emissions technologies. And whilst a lot of hype surrounds the most commonly discussed NETs, which are bioenergy with carbon capture and storage and direct air capture, these systems are yet to be tested on a large scale. And with this being said, there is one natural system which has been used in ancient pasts, which sequesters carbon and which is readily available. Not only that, but this system, also has positive commercial applications, unlike many other carbon capture and storage systems. So what is this thing that could save our planet? So I'm now going to succinctly go into why BECCS and DAC systems have not been used on a larger scale. So both are carbon capture systems, and put simply, DAC uses chemical reactions to extract carbon dioxide directly from air. When air moves over certain chemicals in the DAC systems, carbon dioxide is trapped and is then typically injected deep underground for sequestration. In comparison, BECCS is an indirect way of capturing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and BECCS takes advantage of the fact that biomass generated energy, i.e. energy generated from plants, can be carbon neutral, as plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere when they grow and then release it to the atmosphere when they are combusted. However, BECCS takes advantage of this by removing carbon dioxide from this cycle by capturing emissions when the plant is combusted. This carbon dioxide is then typically injected deep underground for sequestration, similarly to a DAC system. So the problem with DAC systems is that it's very difficult to capture carbon dioxide from where it is very diluted in air. And as it will become more diluted, this will be increasingly difficult and expensive to extract the carbon dioxide due to the associated higher energy needs. Furthermore, large-scale deployment of BECCS to meet the demand for the end of the century would require huge amounts of land change, approximately 5 times the area of India. And obviously this would have huge impacts on the climate. In addition to this, large-scale deployment would lead to massive increases in freshwater use, which is far from ideal considering the current situation which we have in the world, which is an abundance of droughts and other extreme weather events. So both these systems need to be economically feasible, and currently deployment is tied to the deployment of carbon capture systems and therefore associated with the difficulty in financing a carbon capture system project. And that is that there is a lack of commercial applications where people can actually make money from it. So what is biochar? And biochar is a charcoal-like substance that is made by burning biomass, typically wood-based, in a controlled process called pyrolysis. And pyrolysis refers to the chemical decomposition of organic material when exposed to elevated temperatures in an environment with restricted levels of oxygen. So the end result is carbon stored in a stable form, which prevents carbon dioxide from the original organic matter from leaking into the atmosphere. And similarly to BECCS, biochar reduces carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by intervening in a theoretically carbon neutral process. Pyrolysis prevents all the carbon dioxide taken in by organic matter from being released back into the environment. Instead of being released back into the environment, the carbon is stored in this carbon-rich char, or biochar, and this is often mixed with compost before being sequestered in soil. And this is done because biochar generally improves crop yields and plant health through neutralizing acidity, improving water and nutrient retention, and also improving drainage. Interestingly, Biochar has been around for a very long time, and I mean very long time. Over 2,500 years ago, biochar was used in agricultural practices in South America. The dark charcoal-rich soil, often called black earth, supported areas which had poor and toxic soils. By mixing the black earth into the topsoil, the soil beneath was able to retain vital organic matter, nutrients, and moisture essential for plant growth. However, typically, the biochar was produced in an oxygen-rich environment, meaning that half the carbon in the original biomass was released. And obviously, we don't want to do that because that means it's released as carbon dioxide. And that's why we use pyrolysis to make biochar, which ensures carbon, which would otherwise be released as carbon dioxide, is retained by the biochar. Let's go over the feasibility of using biochar and if it would have a significant impact on carbon dioxide levels in our atmosphere. Typically, 50% of carbon is released to the atmosphere and 50% is retained in biochar when organic materials are combusted. And considering that 1 kilo of carbon is released as 3.6 kilos of carbon dioxide, we can assume that 1 kilo of biochar sequesters carbon which would otherwise produce 1.8 kilos of carbon dioxide. It's also recommended that no more than 10 kilos of biochar is produced per acre per year. So with those points in mind, and using land comparable to that required for BECCS, i.e. 5 times the land area of India, about 35.2 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide could be removed from the atmosphere each year. So by itself, that number really doesn't say much, but in 2021, 36.3 billion tonnes, the most recorded in history, was emitted. So that means large-scale production of biochar could potentially offset 97% of current global emissions. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to support the channel, please like this video and also subscribe to the channel.